Hey, thanks for your awesome response with how practice has been going. That has been super helpful from you and from everyone else that I've asked to just see how you guys are doing. And so, hope this video helps at least answer some questions, get you started on some stuff because worship music and practicing for worship music can be a little different than like traditional music or band music they would play at school or something like that. So um, hopefully this will help. If you still have questions about this stuff, or if you watch this and you're like, oh, Jordan, I know all of that. Just let me know and I can give you some more stuff because I'm still trying to learn where everyone is. So it sounded like you were maybe struggling a little bit with the idea of chord charts and how to use that well, and how that might relate with like lead sheets in actual orchestral music. So I want to talk a little bit about that before we get right into piano stuff. So there's a couple different like main types of music that we can use. One are chord charts, right, that you're familiar with. That's the ones we've printed out. In chord charts, they have the lyrics, right, and the chord placement above the lyrics where you are to play that chord. And so it doesn't, in that sense, have traditional measures, obviously. It's a little bit more free and usually allows us to put more music on less pieces of paper, so that helps. And it gives us some more freedom that I'll talk about in a second. So that's what we most commonly use in worship. We also can use lead sheets, which I'll try to get a graphic up and show you. That is more traditional to what you might be used to. Usually has the melody line written out for you, as well as sometimes it'll have chord notations above the place in the measure where you are to start playing that chord. And so that's helpful for learning melodies and stuff like that, and just it's basic lead, right? But then you have vocals as well. So a lot of the songs that we do, I think, have vocal parts written out for them that we'll use eventually for vocalists when we get there. But also can be useful for piano if you wanted a little bit more guidance than what chord charts provide. So if I can print some out for you, and if you find that that's helpful, I can print some more out for you as well. But why, out of those options, do we use chord charts mainly? That's a fantastic question. Really, like I said before, because chord charts can condense the amount of paper, so you can put one or two songs on a music stand and be able to see it. Versus if we were to print out full lead sheets and orchestral sheets, you'd have multiple pages that you'd have to flip through, which isn't the end of the world, but it can be a little distracting and hard while you're leading worship to do that. But the other reason is that it provides us some more freedom typically with how we order the roadmap of the songs. So if you look at a chord chart, it just like lists out the different sections of the song, and sometimes will tell you generally where to go. But you have freedom. So Sam and David can come up with a roadmap of whatever they want to do, and it's easier for us to follow that unique roadmap on a chord chart than it would be to say if we print out a whole music score for one song, and we'd have to, every time we'd want to make a change from the order of that music, we'd have to flip multiple pages, we'd have to make notations. It's just easier to get lost when we start making new roadmaps for these songs on sheet music compared to a chord chart. And because we adapt a lot of songs, like for example, like Maverick City Music, they have so many like 10-minute long recordings and songs that if we were to have a sheet music for that laid out, that would be like 20 pages. Versus a chord chart could be like one or two of the same song. It just doesn't direct us as much. So that's basically why we use chord charts the most. The dark side of that, though, is that chord charts then require you to have a better feel and understanding of the song before you play it, right? So I think you said you take music lessons, so you might be familiar with the idea of sight reading, right? The fact that with practice, you can sit down without practicing a particular piece and start playing the song, because the sheet music tells you exactly what you need to play and when, which is great in a lot of ways. But with chord charts, you kind of have to know the rhythm more. You have to know the flow of the song more, which is why we emphasize you guys listening to songs over and over and over again and practicing over and over and over again. Because chord charts really, they shine brightest when you have a feel for the song, which is a little bit of a difficulty. So I know it was a little bit longer intro to that, but that's those are the pros and cons of chord charts. So I wanted to help, let's turn to piano then. I wanted to help you kind of take some first steps and see if this is helpful for you. So the first thing I want to talk about, first step to kind of learning to play chord rhythms from chord charts, right? So basically you learning the basic chords to play along with the song. First step of that is to learn chords on the piano, right? I'll try to put a graphic up too that you can steal, and I can send it over to, and you can Google it. Just focus on learning the major and the minor to start. We don't have to worry about like these, the add sevens or twos or the adaptations of the chords that a chord chart might tell you to play. Just focus on your major, your minors. And then if you come across a chord that has like a 7 or a 4 or added numbers, just play the basic one. So for example, I'm looking at the Blessing right now in the key of C. The second chord is an F2. I would just suggest play an F chord there, and don't worry about the additional stuff. So the first step for that, again, learn some basic chords using these chord charts if you don't know them already, and practice those fingerings over and over again. And one kind of step to practice, I should say maybe the next step, once you've learned the fingerings and the orders of it, the second step would be to play those along with a metronome, right? Which is our best friend. Either playing quarter notes or eighth note rhythms. So for example, if we roll with the song The Blessing, right? In the key of C, we have C, F, G, and A minor. So if you use that screenshot that I grabbed for you, you will learn the fingerings of C, F, A minor, and then G. And the chord chart will also tell you the tempo. So set your metronome, try it with the tempo that it suggests first. But if you find that challenging, you can lower your BPM, slow your metronome down, and just focus on changing between a couple of the chords. So like if I were practicing to learn the Blessing, the first two chords would be a C chord and an F chord. And so first thing I would do is set my metronome. You can do that on a computer, on your phone, on an app, set that to 70. And then the first thing I'm gonna do is just play, using the metronome, a measure of C and a measure of F. Or if that is proving difficult, maybe 2 measures of C and then 2 measures of F. So for example, there we go, 2, 3, 4, C, 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 F, 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 C, 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 F, 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 F. So that sort of idea of practice. And if you can repeat that for all of the chord changes in the song, it's gonna be a lot easier to really dive into the song when you get to that point. So that would be, I would suggest another, like the next step after you learn chord formation is learn, like practice switching between those chords in time. Again, you can do that with quarter notes. You could even break it up into eighth notes and see if you can challenge yourself like that. The next step after we've played with the metronome and we're working on switching in time is to play with the song. Try to play through the song. So either if you have a recording in the same key that you're playing in, you play along with that recording. I can help you with that if you want to try that, because that'll help you get more of the feel. But second, you could play with the metronome, but play through the song, right? So for example, we can take the Blessing and maybe say that I just want to focus on learning the verse, right? I would just suggest playing the verse and working on those chord switches over and over and over again. So maybe that means playing verse 1 like 4 or 5 times in a row, and learn how those changes go, right? So if we set the metronome again, I'm just gonna play like verse 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So hypothetically, I would do that over and over and over again until I feel like I really got the flow of it. Now again, if the stated BPM, beats per minute, seems too fast for you to switch sometimes, just lower that BPM, do it slower, and then build your way up. It's more important for you to switch those chords accurately than it is to switch them quickly as you're learning a song. And then the last step is to try, once you feel like you can look at the sheet of music, the chord chart, and you feel the changes well, the next step is to try to play the song without a metronome, which that can take a while, but that will be the closest step to playing the song well in practice, in team practice. So my encouragement then be, so repeat verse 1 over and over and over again with a metronome until you can play it without a metronome. So 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can tell, this might mean you have to do a lot of counting, a lot of metronome stuff, but truly, if you can like ingrain the metronome in the feel, the feel of the song in you, chord charts are gonna open up a lot of freedom for you. So that's kind of like the key to unlocking the lock of chord charts, is to be able to know the rhythm, internalize the rhythm. So I'm not quite sure how comfortable you are or where you lie in this. If you have more questions, please let me know. I can make more videos. This is not a struggle or like a burden for me. I love doing it. Or if you're like, oh, I got that already, I know how to do that, then I can give you some more stuff. But for now, let me know how this feels, how this works. It's gonna take a little time, but yeah, try to focus on getting the rhythm, like the metronome, the BPM stuck in your head. And then 2 is focus learning those basic minor and major chords on piano. So hopefully that helps. Let me know what you think and what we can do next.